Good afternoon, friends. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today, we're going to do part two of the Soul Scanner. This is in regard to Portrait of a Graduate, but it's also in regard to AI that is used in conjunction with it. So let's just go ahead and jump in. All right. Today, what we're seeing in Portrait of a Graduate is a sales pitch that if our children are not future ready, they're going to be left behind because we're in a rapidly changing world. And but no, relax. This is your local vision. And we need a shared North Star to keep us all going in the same direction. And we're going to all do this by using our inclusive community in order to formulate all of these things for our future. That is what we're hearing in the Portrait of a Graduate circles, okay? So today's acronyms, there's always another language being spoken here, folks. Uh, just so you can kind of get a gist from when I'm talking, you might want to screenshot this. The American Association of School Administrators, which is formerly the Superintendent's Association. This proves to you that the schools are run by a group of administrators more so than just the superintendent. Of course, he's the leader, but we have data-driven schools now. This is that spike in all of the expenses in your taxes. We're paying all of these salaries for all of these data analysts, all of these psychological things that are going on and on and on and on that I've talked about before. You can find a lot more about that in Parent Navigator 2.0 that you can find on my website. Also, we have AI, artificial intelligence, CASEL. We've talked about CASEL for years now. The Collaborative to Advance Socialist and Emotional Learning is the way I describe it, but now they call it the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning. And when you see POG, which is what we call Portrait of a Graduate. You can see that acronym down there. We've already disclosed that one now. POG is all about that, going from academic more to advancing social list emotional learning. So DCI is deeper conceptual understanding. This is just a way of saying this child is demonstrating that they have gone the full transformation and they're well on their way to progressing in that direction, whatever. MTSS, we've talked about that. That is pretty much the structure of all of the systems of supports in the school. Most of them have to do with mental health. They coordinate with WISC at the bottom, WSCC, whole school, whole child community. That also is linked in conjunction with your school-based healthcare clinics, PBIS, and RTI, all of those different systems, and I don't really want to go reteach that. That's also in a lot of our former webinars. We have NASB, the National Association of School Boards of Education. We have NLP, Natural Language Processing, NCLB, No Child Left Behind, and then the rest of it pretty much is self-explanatory. So the hook today for Portrait of a Graduate is I'm just going to read these couple of pages because I want you to really follow through and we're going to break it down more. But it's an education framework. This is not a curriculum, it's a framework in K-12 marketed as your community's vision. But it's actually a national framework from ASA and Battelle for Kids that uses AI to profile students' inner traits. It requires mandatory peer reflections with no opt-out, and it shifts schools toward measuring and shaping future-ready dispositions over traditional academics. So future-ready dispositions is more important than traditional academics. Keep going. Some will refer to this as SEL 2.0, which you will see on the screens that Christina Bogus gave us in Soul Scanner 1 last month. And also, there's a quote in the transcript that he referred to as whole child reimagined. So that's what a lot of this is. And it's just more of their foreign language and gobbledygook. So also, let's see, the next one. Portrait of a Graduate redefines the purpose of schooling from what kids should know to what kind of a person a graduate should be. Once adopted, it becomes the North Star. Curriculum, assessments, teacher training, and data systems all realign to produce the portrait traits: empathy, resilience, equity mindedness, global citizenship, etc. So, this is not an add on, this is a full system operating system change. So, this is a completely different way of re-engineering the schools. So I started on with Grok asking questions. Who first developed Portrait of a Graduate? And he says, no single person or organization invented POG. It evolved. So it evolved from the whole child and deeper learning ideas. It's also competency-based education. Okay, so we know we've been watching a lot of the Castle competencies being developed and tracked. We saw a lot of that in past episodes that we've done. We have community visioning processes where Battelle for Kids has formalized this format called Portrait of a Graduate in order to make this cookie cutter shaped kid across the nation out of all of these various portraits that they lead people to believe that is developed locally. So they call it a grassroots to national response, but it's really a national response to grassroots under the color of truth, which it's not. All right. Battelle for Kids. So I went on there. I'm like, well, who started Battelle for Kids? Now, Ohioans, you're going to really be interested in this, and you might want to dig deeper in this. I would be interested in it if you did. But who started Battelle for Kids? Because it's in Columbus. But I find this really fascinating. It's a national not-for-profit organization focused on empowering educators to prepare students for future-ready learning, including initiatives like Portrait of a Graduate, established in 2001. So this isn't something new. It might be newly discovered by many of us, but it's not new. But the Ohio Business Roundtable, that is where a lot of this was established. And their support came from Battelle Memorial Institute. So those of you in Ohio that want to dig into that, feel free. And I would love to know your what else you discover on it. So there's not an individual founder in a traditional sense. This was a group of people that came together and brainstormed, whatever. And then two, if you look at these bullet points, because I don't really want to just read all these screens verbatim, there's two bullet points on there after the business roundtable leaders that I want to talk about for a second. Dr. Karen Garza, who was the president and CEO from 17 to 23. She was the superintendent in Fairfax County Public Schools and then also in Lubbock Independent School District, Texas. So Fairfax is a hot button kind of place. There's a lot of news that comes out of it about things that happen in schools. So that's interesting. But then you've got Mike Duncan was their last one, and his tenure ended the end of last year simply because we know that Battelle merged with ASA. So the Superintendent's Association. So that is where we're at. Now, Mike Duncan, though, he's probably being rewarded greatly with all of his knowledge because now he's getting to start his own company called North Star K-12, don't you know? Because that is all of the essence of what they talk about in Portrait of a Graduate is the North Star. Okay, so there you go. Now, the goal of Portrait of a Graduate, and I might be a little bit redundant in some of my stuff today. Forgive me, but I find repetition helps us grab a lot of it. The main goal of Portrait of a Graduate, POG, is to redefine the ultimate purpose of K-12 education from transmitting academic knowledge and critical thinking skills to producing a specific kind of person, one who embodies a standardized set of dispositions, mindsets, values, and social emotional competencies deemed necessary for success in a future-ready, rapidly changing, AI-driven, globalized world. That was Grok's definition, y'all. That was Grok's. So I just wanted you to know that. And next, I asked him about who were involved in the hive mind shrouded behind a curtain of POG. So y'all, you won't believe how long all of my back and forth with Grok was. It was the longest thread I've ever built with him. I'll say that. The hive mind you're referring to, the coordinated push behind POG, disposition engineering via AI, mandatory SEL, and peer conformity. We've talked about the modern age struggle session. And the national standardization of what schools claim to be local visions is not a secret cabal in a smoky room. It's a visible, well-funded, interconnected network of organizations, funders, and influencers that operate openly, but with remarkably little public scrutiny or parental veto power. Y'all, so many of us said, oh, this is something new. It's not new. So this is very interesting. So here are the main players involved, grouped by role. Y'all, this is fascinating. First, the national orchestrators and the template providers, because that's what a portrait form is. It's a template. You've got ASA and Battelle for Kids, of course. We've gone through that. Research and ideological foundations. This comes out of Harvard Graduate School of Education. They've got some of this Making Caring Common, which we're going to go over in a minute. You've got Castle, Learning Policy Institute. Many of these ideological foundations fortify and bring a lot of meat into the POG efforts. Third, AI measurement tools. And it's very interesting. I think it's funny. Grok called them the disposition engines. So that was the name he came up with in the course of this thread. So I'm just rolling with it. These are disposition engines because they are grading the dispositions of students. So these are all different ones that he has found out there that could be used in schools in America and abroad. Major funders and influencers, same old, same old. I might have added Carnegie. I'm sure Carnegie's in a lot of the others too, but anyway, yeah, there you go. The normal, the routine villains in all of it, right? State level implementers and amplifiers. California Department of Education. And who's the president of that? Linda Darling Hammond. And Christina and I kind of had a little back and forth talking about her on the last one, on the first Soul Scanner. So you can kind of find out from that. But California, California values don't belong in our schools, period. They don't belong in California schools either. So other states that are down for all of this, you can see listed there. And of course, the NEA, Becky Pringle, the DEI Sacred Values Queen. Yeah, she absolutely promotes POG as a core to equity. She's going to use SEL as far as she can push it. So why this is very interesting. Why this feels like a hive mind behind a curtain is because of all of the coordination without conspiracy. No single puppet master, but there's a tight network of aligned nonprofits, foundations, universities, unions, and ed tech vendors. They're all pushing this same language and the competencies and the tools. So we see the coordinated effort, right? So the curtain effect is presented as a local parent vision while the core is nationally standardized. And then there's no parental veto to this because they're not educated about it. Most parents have no idea. And then the moral framing, sacred values from NEA, ethical development that comes out of MCC, Making Caring Common, that's Harvard. Future ready, the ASA, Battelle, it makes dissent feel like opposition to caring or to progress. They will demonize you and make you think that you're in a war against empathy. Similar to, I don't know if any of you read this past week how Hillary Rodham Clinton did a hit on the Atlantic against Allie Beth Stuckey, saying that her book, Toxic Empathy, and that the MAGA world has a war against empathy. See, they will try to demonize you that you're not an empathetic or caring person. I'm sure you get it. So anyway, when you feel like there's no single puppet master, but you see Bill Gates in every single bit of it, I'll just leave that right there. Okay. All right. So now, Impactor Pathway was the AI that was in that presentation that Christina Bogus, the Utah State School Board member, revealed to us last month, and I pretty much just let her go with last month's and share what she had learned. And boy, she did a fantastic job explaining all of that, what she had learned. So that is the thing about it is last month, when you think about it, we spoke about the framework POG. We talked about the AI uh, that was used as impact or pathway. And then now we're peeling back even more and more layers of this onion. So we've got to make sure that we understand as we're talking about POG, we're talking about it on AI. POG by itself in a school as a North Star is not good, but POG on AI is Orwellian. All right. So if you want to watch that, if you weren't with us last month, you can get that at parentsonthelevel.com webinars. This is Christina, fantastic lady, and we just can't say enough good about her. We also had showed you where I took the transcript of the session that she attended, and we instructed Grok to use strict logic, mathematical probability, and observational science from educational research, policy analyses, and recent studies. And it provided the following information that I don't really want to reteach. And I really went through it fast last time. But Calvin Smith, he's with Answers in Genesis Canada. And if you haven't followed Calvin Smith, Answers in Genesis Canada on YouTube, you're in for a treat. He really does have some good information, but he is doing demonstrations with AI and he's showing people how to get truth out of it. So that's where I got this idea to get this format. And I wanted y'all to know that because I don't think like he thinks. He's very smart, man. Okay. So anyway, also, this is the logic that Grok came out with for it afterwards. But I wanted to just briefly go over all of these risks just really quick in order to get a flavor for where I'm headed today. So last month we revealed to you that what the dangers were was privacy and data security risks, algorithmic bias and inaccuracy leading to unfair labeling, because NLP models can totally misconstrue what you're saying or mishear you even. All of us have had weird output from Siri, especially with my Southern accent. She doesn't get my accent a lot of the time. So NLP is not always effective the way that AI hears you. There's the erosion of human judgment and teacher autonomy because you have to teach what the machine says overrides you, right? Psychological harm and surveillance effects. What does it feel like when you know you're surveilled constantly? You know, self-censorship's a real thing, right? And then we're going to have exacerbation of inequities and digital divide, over reliance, and diminished critical thinking and creativity. You really have to read all these definitions for yourself slowly in order to just kind of think through them. And I'll be honest with you, some of them I read and go, I have no idea really what all that means, I'm sure. I believe that we are on the tip of the iceberg in most all of this technical study from this AI input. So it's very interesting, though. Julie Quist of the Child Protection League did a fantastic Substack on this particular webinar that we did last month, and it is on my Parents on the Level Facebook page. And I really do think everyone would benefit from going and reading her critical analysis of the entire thing. It was fantastic. I just love Julie. They do great work. All right. Oh, is my computer freezing? No. All right, good. So then it says also, one of the other parts was unintended societal control and indoctrination risks. And I'm like, unintended? Psh. Implementation and cost burdens. So you have Grok giving you all of these warnings. You see here where he's saying that there's a 50 to 70% chance in large scale systems, precedents like social credit systems or predictive policing that's going to happen through these particular efforts. This is unprecedented in our schools as far as we've known. This is something to really put a lot of prayer time in on, folks. All right. And then at the final of this, Grok came up with the alert that the overall danger level for this type of a system, in conjunction with Portrait of a Graduate, is a very high danger level, that it could be that there's so many problems and issues through this, and this kind of damage will take a long time to undo. So, I mean, you've got one AI ratting out another, right? Very interesting. And it was just like Diane and I had talked recently about how there are platforms right now that AI is designing itself where it will only talk to other AIs. And it's kind of like a Facebook for AI called, what was it, Moltbook. And so those are things to look into as well. What are we subjecting our children to? Whose hands are we putting them in? Who is behind that curtain, and who is getting this data? This is where we are today. So the next generation SEL, human skills in the age of AI, these personal questions, if they don't log in enough video, audio, and text into the system, their scores won't be high. So you will have these kids that this is how they have to survive their school day now. And when you see all of their words, build future ready skills with data driven insights, all of this is the chatter in today's education system. So the Soul Scanner, remember this name was designed by Grok. And so you see this child, this was representative of any child in the public schools. She's standing in a data lake, building her own emotional dossier with little to no real understanding of what is happening. And by the way, her parents don't know either. And the modern day struggle session involves all of this dossier information building while she's in a struggle session that involves peers. All of this coupled with AI. This is beyond the pale. This is unbelievable. So now let's look here. One of the things in my discussion, when I was talking with Grok, I thought was funny. He came up with this little handle for the fact that, I told you have to have so much time speaking in the camera, so much time text with text driven information, and so much time with just audible files. And they're asking you all of this personal information where they can develop a digital doppelganger. That's what Grok termed it, or a digital twin, where the computer can make this child say anything. And also, it does the same thing to the teachers, to the superintendent. So this kid can say, oh, well, this is okay. My teacher's telling me to do this or leading me to do this. You can just take your imagination and go with that. Who knows what all could be done with that? And then remember, there was also the manipulation. This one chilled me a bit as well, that when a child is being developed in this system and they get these handles like, oh, well, you're the kindness captain, and they love bomb them with some kind of a special name and special privileges. I mean, how many of y'all wanted to lead the lunch line? This is the same kind of thing, the same kind of a reward. Oh, wow. So, anyway, now look where he's pointing, or where this arrow is pointing. Oh, he's pointing at the score, but this arrow is pointing at the name of this Impactor 101, Foundations for Leadership. They want to make leaders out of these kids, these leaders with agency, which is also another way of saying activism. They're developing an activist in this child. That's the kind of leadership we're looking at here. So this is his quote. This was the man that talked about Impactor a lot. He said, so fundamentally, this POG is whole child redesigned. This is straight from the transcript. And this kind of from vision to validation, so secondary redesign in California, it's about building architecture. That's basically what he said. So California values is something that's a red flag for me. But when you say it's also whole child redesigned, yeah, we're headed that way. So disposition engines, again, Grok named all of these. collecting all these things. Now, words mean something. So I went and got the definition of the word disposition because many times you don't hear this word used in your daily discussions, but it's a person's inherent qualities of mind and character. Your sunny disposition has a way of rubbing off on those around you. Disposition engineering, let's call it that, disposition engines, collecting all of that data on your child for their solution, which is the data driven schools. We can keep our thumb on everything. We can personalize education to build the type of students we want to build for the workforces of tomorrow using our human capital. That's what they call us, their human capital. Remember, in the securely discern data driven system, which is also AI, all of the assessments, all of this, they refer to it as the backbone of the school. Remember, y'all, over a year ago, Portrait of a Graduate was sitting right there, and I didn't really even take notice of it. Yeah, so all of that's together, and then it says, and more frameworks are coming soon down here at the bottom. I'm going to blow your mind in a minute and show you more frameworks that I'm not going to go through. I'm just not going to do them unless they come on this. I mean, I've shown enough information for everyone to see that the schools are up to no good at this point. This is crazy. So here was one of the chilling screen grabs from Christina. Yesterday's system, the factory model for schools, yesterday's system was built for efficiency, not empathy. So, knowledge transmission versus disposition engineering. Which one do you think gives a quality education? I'll take the knowledge transmission and I will take the efficiency side of this any day. Now, back to these screens. Remember that these kids are taking all of these human skills, next generation SEL. They've referred to this as next gen because it has progressed. It has morphed into more. And these are the traditional methods of SEL, SEL 1.0. Do you see that there? And here's SEL 2.0. There, it's very interesting. So you can compare what they're saying, feelings wheel compared to neural analysis, where they're rating their emotional awareness. Self-reported surveys, that's what they call a Likert scale, where you're saying like from 1 to 10, rate this, or I feel somewhat, a little, a lot, kind of how you rate your pain in the hospital. That would be self-reported surveys, which I can attest to the fact that kids Christmas tree the answers on those things because they don't care about your data. If they have to do it pen and pencil, they just want to get out of class. Student feedback on it. Also, for this SEL 2.0, they've got them captured right there in front of the camera, right there recording their voice, right there making them text. So there you go. Progress tracking, teacher observations versus quantifiable growth metrics. That AI is going to judge your kid no matter if the information is right or not. I have had personal experiences with counselors that have talked with me about these systems and how AI is doing this stuff with these students. And that a lot of the time it will generate intervention work for the counselors that is completely embarrassing to ask a kid about, and it has no bearing on that child whatsoever. It is something where the AI actually hallucinated something into existence, or whatever it did. So that's not really valuable. And this is one of the dangers that was listed a few minutes ago. So progress on the other is stale PowerPoints versus an engaging next gen activities. That's the implementation. So let me go back. Implementation would it be stale PowerPoints versus engaging next generation activities? They are all down for their new little digital woohoo on here. So, all right. So then you have data collection. You've got annual assessments versus real-time measurement. Yeah, real-time measurement on this, gosh, it's just scary. Student support, you've got generic interventions. So that would be sitting in front of a counselor, which, I'm no fan of a lot of the counselors in our schools. or personalized data informed plans. How that might work, I'm not sure. And could it work where you just have a counselor on the screen? We know that Gaggle does that when there's certain input into or collection by the AI in the schools if they're using Gaggle as a surveillance engine. So, yeah, that could happen. So, again, like Christina said, these are the cookie cutter kids. All of this with Portrait of a Graduate is going to fit like all of these certain characteristics, and they wait for interventions in order to put them right back through it using peers around them to hear what they're saying in order to transform the student into their image of what they think their graduates should look like. Isn't that just, you know, all in a nice little package? So, but the thing about it is, when you're looking at these particular definitions, the Shakespearean quote I've got below this, methinks the definitions are not what the parents think, if they're even aware. They're using your words, but not your dictionary, because a lot of these things, like critical thinking, the objective analysis and evaluation of an issue in order to form a judgment, the objective analysis and evaluation of an issue. Um, why do we need to collect what kids think about current issues? That used to be off limits. We stuck to academics. I can remember people wanting to do that in class just to see if we could get the teacher off topic so we could get the class over with quicker, maybe with a little entertainment. No, that's what they're after now. They would rather talk about the issues and use them in order to write their papers. So the words are not based on common definitions, and the words represent categories for scoring according to their vision. So POG also, like I've told you, is touted as a locally designed framework. So I really want to dig into this with you for a second. So sure, there's going to be a committee that's formed to implement the portrait, okay? A local committee at your school, and I'm going to show you proof of one of these in a minute. But the outcome is carefully planned and managed ahead of time. How members are selected is also another matter for consideration. So let's look at, now we know what are the sacred values of the school: diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? And it's programmed in a lot of this AI, and it's hard to find all of it. It's hard to prove and track because it's all fluid, right? But let's look at this inclusive family input committee. Let's look at all the different types of families that are in America right now. Now, for me to bring all of this up, we all know there are different people and families. I mean, we're going to just go based on the library books that are pushed on American kids today that have been even discussed in the Supreme Court this past year, where we talk about inclusion, right? And where these books said all are welcome here, right? So all are welcome here. Believe them when they say it, that every one of these different families, no matter what their belief systems are, what their ideologies are, if they're for America or against America or purely hate America, no matter what, this is the committee. This is an inclusive committee to form the portrait. Let that just sink in for a minute, because that's a fact. Now, let's look at the next one. Battelle for Kids openly markets Portrait of a Graduate as their future-ready vision and process, yet districts sell it as your community's original idea. So that's not local ownership, y'all. That's national branding with a local sticker slapped on it. Kind of like when you've got two different brands of things at a store, you've got the store brand and you've got the national brand. They're just putting a sticker on the other, and you know it's a national brand anyway. That's the same thing here. It's the national brand. So this is on Wayback Machine. And this was one of the things I kind of grabbed this idea from Christina talking about this with me earlier on too. They say plain as day on the Battelle for Kids before, this is your system's vision, but you got to convince pretty much the parents that it's theirs to get the buy-in, right? And then it says locally developed but globally positioned. Globally. We've talked about globalism as well. And then also, it's like we want the lifelong learners. We've talked about that and broken down that. I want a strong, independent thinker, is what I want. I don't want a lifetime learner from that kind of a system. No, not at all. So, if the portrait is the new North Star of the school, who gets to decide what the ideal graduate looks like? And why should that decision override parents' primary role in forming their child's character? This is way out of bounds on the school's part. So it doesn't add a new layer to schooling. It redefines the operating system of schooling itself, changing the why, which then cascades to change the what, how, and the measured by. So let's just look at this. They're going to override the policies even if they're just out there really getting just a grip on that school district saying we use the portrait. Does this match the portrait? Does this match the portraits? Not what's in our policies. You know, it could go into that, and AI grading it, it's going to take it there. So traditional schooling, we know what all it asks, but I just wanted to just kind of just put it out there again. What should our kids know and be able to do upon graduation? And POG, what kind of person should our graduates be? What dispositions, mindsets, competencies, beliefs, values should they embody to thrive in college, career, citizenship, and life? But then let's take it another step further. Then they're going to assign that score for it on the permanent record. Now, back in the Castle series, when we talked about this, I showed you the longitudinal data systems. Those systems are just, they go on for eternity. It's so much information. Now, let's show you something demonstrated really quick here. This is Gwinnett County, Georgia. All right. Now, y'all know I used to live in Georgia and I studied Georgia a lot. So I'm going to take some information from Georgia and from Ohio because both of them are in the crosshairs in a significant way with POG. Gwinnett County was used as one of the first to demonstrate in the nation POG, right? Their strategic plan and input. This is what their committee went over. So you've got this look and listen, learn tour, superintendent, supervise, student advisory council, transition and planning team. Then you've got local school administrators association. All of these people had voice. Just read all of it. Parent advocacy groups, local school councils, school department division leaders. So everybody was supposed to have a voice. Okay. All right. And then when you go on Gwinnett's school, they talk about that they were part of the Learning 2025 network demonstration for districts aspiring to become more student-centered, equity-focused, and future-driven. Okay. So, but that was ASA's vision of systemic redesign. This wasn't the idea of Gwinnett County. And yet, here it says that their design team developed 6 core competencies that articulate our community's aspirations for all of our students in GCPS. These core competencies serve as a North Star driving our strategic plan. That's not true. This was designed nationally. So I love the Forrest Gumpism here, and just like that, they all had the same thing, right? That's pretty much what they expect us to believe. Google it. Just Google it. Portrait of a graduate examples. They are everywhere. Or as Vodi Bakum says, everywhere. They're more than everywhere. So here's the 6 GCPS portrait of a graduate competencies detailed below. This is the exact ones that were on the screen in the other slides. Unbelievable. Watch this and know. This is what we're developing. This is Gwinnett County. This is Georgia. High school. Folks, these are the flyers that went out to organize it. The news barely talked about it. We've talked about color revolutions. We've talked about all of that. Now, when you've got these kids that are on in these systems, portrait of a graduate, and their North Star, and they're taught that empathy trumps everything else, and they are taught to do all of this, yeah, that's the North Star. That's how they're following. Watch this. There's more. This is the woman that's over their chair as chair for their school board.
How important it is for us to not allow white supremacy to divide BIPOC communities. I encourage our white people, Black people, Asian, Hispanic, our LGBTQ community, people of all identities and backgrounds and religions, perspectives to join together to fight against oligarchy, to fight against the leadership that is anti-DEI, the leadership that is saying that some people don't belong in this country. This should be a country that is free for everyone to exist and for everyone to have the resources, access, and opportunities to not just survive, but thrive. And I share with you in my very existence as a Black woman living in America who has been very vocal around supporting our Black communities, around supporting humanity. Please do not allow you to be used as a token or used to be a weapon to justify getting rid of DEI in your organizations. If you are in a position of influence, of power, of privilege, and you are a person of color, stand up and fight back. Think about innovative, creative ways to navigate this time. I know that it is not just about deleting everything that has to do with DEI. There are ways that will require us to be innovative and creative, but there are ways for us to navigate through this situation. But we must unapologetically be sure that we are meeting the needs. It is important for us to not spend energy around tearing one another down. Yes, we hold everyone accountable, but do not allow disinformation and misinformation and misunderstandings to divide and conquer. More than ever, we need our communities to stand strong together in solidarity. Black women, 92% of us, voted for the soul of America. 92% of us voted against the patriarchy, the oligarchy, voted against misogynoir, voted against inhumanity. We voted for all people, not just for the benefit of our communities, but for the benefit of humanity. And I say that to say that even as we lead in our communities or as we lead in our jobs, we are consistently being who we need to be for humanity, boldly and unapologetically fighting for the rights of people. And as an educational leader myself, I am unapologetic about fighting for the needs of all of our children, regardless of who is in power. We must not allow politics, not allow personal agendas, not allow personal feelings to get in the way of progress. We have to stay focused and we have to think critically. We have to have discernment. We must not have this mentality that is a crab in a barrel mentality as we are enduring these times. We cannot have a mafia mentality where we are destroying one another. We cannot engage in this Game of Thrones activity that's fighting for power. We must not allow ourselves to be succumbed by the ring of power like in Lord of the Rings. Meanwhile, we're destroying our own people. And in particular, I'm going to say this: we must protect, stand by, and fight for Black women, fighting for the right of all humanity. Stop trying to destroy us. We are doing the best we can to fight for our community. And I'm going to say this: with all of my might, my life, my power, my courage, my bravery, I will continue to stand for and be for the power of our people.
I took you all the way through that for several reasons. Did that sound familiar to you, what she said at the end? I will use my power, my privilege, my time, my work, my influence, my lived experience, my love, my passion, my energy, my resolve. Folks, this is what they subscribe to. This is a religion in the schools. It's secular humanism. It's Marxism. It's a lot of it all combined. Whatever it takes to take down America. That's what that woman was just talking about and espousing. She went on and on and on, even to the point of adding more. You saw where she clipped her own self and put more on it. She has her own TikTok channel. She's wide open on it. You can hear even more. That was written after Trump was elected and way before this. But I find that that particular clip, along with them taking all these students and allowing them to walk out of Gwinnett County schools, that is just absolutely telling. I have this graphic on my Facebook page and my Twitter page as well. So if you do the Parents on the Level and you want to share this graphic, this needs to be shared far and wide because we have people quoting all of this kind of stuff. And this is what's happening, taking place in our school system. All right, ran over. Oh, wait, there's more. This is her school board meetings, and you will notice on here she never pledges. Never pledges. Look here. She's not pledging here. And I watched like four more. 100% she never pledges. Georgia schools, that's the biggest school in Georgia. And Georgia schools use Gwinnett County as a model. Georgia has always been known as the Bible Belt. What in the world? That's where we're at. So now let's do Cleveland. This is right there in Ohio. And what about their forms that have been sent to them to get them all organized? Just like Georgia. Interesting, huh? Yeah, this is all planned out. Color Revolution, folks. Tomorrow night, North Royalton City Schools in Ohio is going to have a meeting. And I think that if any of you are up there, you need to make the trek over, even if it's not your school district, just to show support to those that'll stand. Um, they're in the process of putting, you know, implementing POG. So they know no limits. These are elementary kids. Now I think this is, says choose kindness. That's what they're saying over and over again. I'm just giving you a sampling of what's out there. This is why we need to stand against Portrait of a Graduate, social and emotional learning, all of it. We need to stand against it and we need to show them why. And feel free to share this, far and wide as well. Because are these the types of people you want to trust with the inmost thoughts and future of your children? I mean, all of this is about California redesign. Today's redesign is about purpose, personalization, and belonging. It automates hard skills and human skill where human skills take the lead. All this gobbledygook, all of this, it's all about emotions. But really, it's also about social scoring. Watch it. Just watch it. Already happening in China. Remember last month's webinar, all of this is factual. We have the testimony, the transcript, the slides, and the audio of this session. We have all of it. Impactor pathway is an Orwellian system, and there are others out there that function a lot like it. SEL 2.0 by their own name. They're taking it and saying every student's unique. We're going to make it personalized for them. Mm-mm. Now, it's personalized, but it's a dossier on them based on California assessment systems, based in culturally responsive, inclusive DEI, providing data that supports valid inferences. I mean, just on and on they go. Likert scales aren't good enough, so now we're on biometrics. Remember that. Now, for for an example, if you take this QR code, I know we're coming up on an hour, but bear with me. We won't be much longer. Do you trust your data to this QR code to answer your inmost thoughts and questions and answers for whatever they're asking you? Are you willing to scan and log your data in on it? I scanned it. And when I got to the places where it wanted my data, I'm like, I don't know who's going to have it. Even just to test it out. I didn't even want to do that. But your kids are asked to put this in. Unbelievable. All of this based on listening to everyone at school. But how can we listen to everyone? It listens at scale, it says. Can't make it up. And think about what this is saying. It's showing growth mindset in their own words. They reframe setbacks and create goals. So they confess to a machine their setbacks, which might be very personal. Some could be even incriminating, possibly. It's showing a growth mindset away from, I don't even know what all that could mean. All of this, all of this. Here is Harvard's Making Caring Common. This is where they list all of these progressions in how the student is transforming. Reminds me a lot of the Castle competencies, how it progresses as well. POG progresses as well. And it's progressive measures for progressives, is basically what it is. You can go to it's the Graduate School of Education, an education school. I've had some of their people call me to try to interview me about why I'm so against SEL. I don't really talk to them in depth. I asked them, is MCC another DEI application? And he says, yes, you're right to frame Harvard's Making Caring Common as another DEI application. And the connection is both structural and ideological. And he just goes on and on and on and on. I just clipped the first little part of it. Yeah, it's got DEI all through it. It goes through and it says explicit DEI language. It has alignment with Castle. It just all, you can just read it until your eyes fall out. I've said that so many times. But then the bottom line, it's not explicitly a DEI program. It's framed as moral ethical development, but it functions as a DEI application because it uses their language and goals, it integrates with the lessons, and it comes from Harvard, which is basically an open champion of DEI. So Harvard's Making Caring Common. It isn't just about kindness, it's about DEI and caring clothing. So that's another framework I could probably do 10 more webinars on. Guys, this whole school system is a bottomless pit. It's not neutral character education. None of it is. None of the frameworks are. It's ideological formation dressed up like moral growth. Watch this. This is Harvard University's EASL Lab. It's the Graduate School of Education for Harvard. This is my voice, by the way. Some of their students at different times when they ask me questions about social and emotional learning and why I think parents would be resistant towards social and emotional learning. I don't really talk to these people in depth, to be quite honest with you. Anyway, we've talked about in the past, especially when we reviewed Securely, about how we have
so many frameworks in the school, and they say new frameworks are coming that they're going to start measuring and securely discern and systems like that. So we know that AI is a huge component in the schools now. And I just want to flow through this with you a little bit. You can go here. This is, um, let's see, explore sel.gse.harvard.edu, compare dash domains backslash. Folks, this is something you need to really look at because there are so many of these frameworks that your kids might be part of if they're involved with any of this, and whether it be in their school or who knows, it could be an after school program. I mean, goodness, here's Lego Corporation. They have a lot of these companies will have like a nonprofit and it'll be connected somehow. Um, this is stuff that's overseas. This is global, so we know that. Here's the castle competencies they're looking at. So look at all of these different things that they've got on here. And then how do we decide which frameworks to include? You can look into all of this as much as you like. But you see, here's a lot of the different things that they're measuring too, which when we're looking at portrait of a graduate, you're seeing a lot of this information that relates. And we are probably at the tip of the iceberg on just how far a lot of this stuff goes in our schools. You know, over the last year and a half, I've been doing webinars. And if these things don't give you enough reasons to pull your kids out of public school, I don't know what will at this point. Because we have shown you all kind of different systems, measurements, all these things they're taking. Um, these frameworks are endless and they will probably continue to fortify them.
So there you go. When I saw that, I was just like, okay, this is just a bottomless pit. It's a bottomless pit. And our kids are just getting hypnotized by it, surveilled by it, uh, by California indicators, it says here. um, there's your child, all graded up. They're just a number, a learner portrait. Now, next month, or no, it's this month, from February 12th to the 14th, is the Superintendents Association's their annual gig where they're going to be learning all kinds of things about AI and how to employ it in their schools. There's a lot of push for this. I'm sure probably the same impactor pathway is probably there representing as well. So be sure to look through that information. You can just go to aasa, probably.org, I would think, and you can download this like I did and look through their event. And just, I was blown away by some of these. You see, AI, you know, they're saying what AI can't replace the power of human connection. But when you're looking at doing AI with surveillance systems, POG data collection, do they really mean that? So anyway, here's the deal. We're done pretty much. It's your turn. It is your turn. The new portrait of a graduate info flyer and a 3-minute school board speech. I've got two of them. One if your school already has POG, and one if your school does not have POG installed already. You can go to my website and you can see all of this information, download it and adapt it to the needs for your area. There's a QR code that'll take you to my website as well. Um, I want you to be able to really just digest this information, pray about it, and think about what is your part. Because it's not just about watching a webinar and being informed. This is about getting the word out to protect children. Tomorrow night I've got a board meeting to go stand on this because my county implemented this where I own some property, and I'm going to the board meeting and challenging them about what do they know about it and how do they understand the measurements on it, and just getting some information out to the parents there. I'm going to start the trek with that. So that's what my plan is. I hope it's your plan too. Please don't make these webinars just something that you soak in. Let's disperse this information. Let's ask questions. Feel free to email me, contact me. My contact information is on my website, parentsonthelevel.com. I know if you're in Ohio, Diane has the tip line on her website, protectohiochildren.net, right? Is it dot?
Yes.
Yeah, dot net. And so make sure that you go there and use the tip line. And matter of fact, let's go ahead and start reporting to her tip line. If your school has this, you need to look and find out, and everything you learn about it, you need to feed it into the system there. So she does a great work on that. So let's just end this with here's all our cookie cutter schools of students swimming down the line here, right? I'm just going to really give you a challenge. Yes, I'm a Christian, and I don't back down from that. The Bible tells us do not conform. It tells us do not conform, and I'm going to go as far as to tell you this as well. If you look in the book of Psalms, chapter 1, it says, "Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of scoffers. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on it he meditates day and night." Y'all, it goes further. It says, "He is like a tree planted by streams of water that yields its fruit in its season, and its leaf does not wither. In all that he does, he prospers. The wicked are not so, but they're like chaff that the wind drives away." Folks, we have to stand strong in this day and age. And if you get your Bible out and get you something to stand on, go through the promises, because this is going to get rocky. We've got kids already turning into little, rebels, into little red guard. And remember, we called it the rainbow revolution. And this isn't just going to be one country. This is global. This is happening global. So we've got to make sure that we know we cannot allow our kids to conform. We shouldn't conform either. It's time. And another thing, when you're looking at how to discern things, discernment, it's not just telling the difference between right and wrong. It's telling the difference between right and almost right. And that was a very godly man, Charles Spurgeon, that said that. And here's the thing, false teachers, you need to understand, they don't announce themselves with obvious heresy, but repackage error in familiar orthodox sounding terms like those found in school frameworks. So that's my last words to you. Guys, take this to heart, pray about it. If you want to talk to me, feel free to reach out and I will get to you as quickly as I can. But anyway, with that, do we have questions?
Really overwhelming, Marcia. Good job. Thank you. The first question is, isn't this similar to the goals 2000 and school to work in Clinton administration?
Mm-hmm.
Many thought these way back when.
Yeah. The outcomes based education and everything. Yeah.
What types of information will be extracted, collected from children using the AI features of POG, and how will this information be acquired? Through student surveys? Question mark.
Well, it depends on if the school has adopted an AI engine or not. But there's other things that collect these kinds of this kind of information. We saw where Securely is collecting information through their AI as well. So I would just look thoroughly into AI, and they're going to be asking them all kind of personal questions that really are best suited to um, counseling appointments or parents or even clergy. This is very personal information that they're collecting on these children.
Do you have some idea of how many teachers have left the public schools because of what is being taught? Are the teachers that are left in the public schools pretty much all indoctrinated with this?
There are, I talk with teachers quite a bit, honestly. And matter of fact, I talked with one yesterday who was crying and saying, I'm getting out. This is my last year. I morally can no longer do this. I have a couple of other teachers up where I used to live that I've gotten word from them that they are just completely miserable because of this. They know it's not right, and they're trying to figure out ways. And a lot of them are going to lose a lot of money. They're going to lose their vested interest in their career. This is so wrong on so many levels. So yes, there are teachers leaving because of this. My daughter was one of them. She left a few years ago, right in the middle of the school year. It was so bad.
Another comment here, Texas also has this in some districts, the portrait of a graduate.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. We
It's
know
in
from,
Florida. I'm in the free state of Florida, right? Where everything's supposed to be hunky dory and all set straight because of Ron DeSantis, right?
and we know
I
it's
think
in
Ron does a
Utah,
good job. It's here. It's here.
and it's
It's
in
in Utah.
Utah, as we learned in the first part.
Mhm.
Yes, many social emotional learning programs in school districts in Texas are aligning their curricula with Portrait of a Graduate framework, which defines the skills such as, it's the same thing. Often castle aligned programs are
Mhm.
used to shift focus towards competencies like self-awareness and responsible decision.
Exactly. Yeah, it was all right there on the wheel. Yep, that's exactly right. Exactly right. And you know, in groups that we've functioned with before, you've got all of this effort and work. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be looking at, I mean, the problem that we're in right now is because we were asleep and we weren't looking and we were trusting our children to people, right? Um, but it's like when you look at this kind of stuff that is transforming the mind of these children, I used to look up all the books in my libraries all the time for the schools around me, and I'd try to get attention to those. I can't even do that anymore because I can't keep up with this. This to me is far worse because the kids are more on these digital um, devices than they are in the books. So I would say that if you are, really working on trying to help getting the schools back in control, which I don't think that it's possible. Honestly, I don't think it's possible anymore. I mean, with God, all things are possible, but I don't think God ever intended for Christians to submit their children to people that don't know Him for their education in the first place. So that's where I'm at. And that's just me personally. But I'll say this, I would put my efforts in this digital world before I would in some of these other things. It's all hands on deck at this point.
Marcia, what I worry about, this is just my thought off the top of my head here today. As schools and even our Trump administration and conservatives are looking at how to implement AI in the schools, wouldn't this be a perfect thing for them to use to implement AI?
Hmm.
Just bring it right in and say, here you go, here's your AI.
Yeah. And
It's a beautiful thing. It's not.
it's not.
It's not. I
Ultimately, I
just
mean, you
don't.
saw where even Elon said that it's already possible for AI to train our students better than teachers. Well, there's a lot of information out there. I've shared it recently on my Facebook page where we have neurosurgeons that are saying these devices are horrible for our children. I mean, I know how it makes me feel if I'm on the screens too long. Can you
I
imagine a developing brain on this? This is terrible for kids.
I just don't see the pushback on SEL, whole child, or this POC. You know, I just don't see the pushback except from some small group like us of conservatives that are being very specific here in your presentation. Where is the big pushback on this? We need people to understand this is communism coming in.
Yep, that's exactly what it is,
As
communism.
you said, the Red Guard. But I
Yep.
don't hear the voices that we need to hear. It's almost like the actors are out there covering things up and not looking in the right places. It's just so frustrating. I see here a comment, Arizona districts are using POG. They
Hmm.
think it's the best thing since sliced bread. And then we have someone who says, Marcia, Robert Goodman from Florida says hi.
Hey, Robert. Yay, I'm glad you're on.
Uh,
Yeah.
and then And then I have a comment here. Thank you so much for exposing this. I had no idea it was this bad. Although I knew it was bad, I will distribute this to others. Oh, yes, please do. Distribute to others.
Thank you. Who was that?
That was Patty Cantor in Tennessee.
Patty, thank you. Thank you. Yes, we've got to get the word out on this. Yeah, it was like last month when Christina was on there. I wanted to get her full, response to everything. She is remarkable. We will probably have her back. I just really enjoyed having her. But all month long, this has been just, I have read more about this than I care to know, and it's worse than what I've been able to cover, is the way I feel about it. So next month, do you think that you can really opt out of this stuff? Y'all, we're going to talk strategy next month, and I need your strategies too. Matter of fact, we might bring on some other voices if you're interested in talking strategy about why you really can't opt out of this stuff. We would like to, talk with you because there is no document you can put on file that will protect your child in this at this point. Not when they're using peer strategies. When you think about how some religions will hide behind women and children and allow them to even be shot and bombed and all this stuff, they'll hide behind them like that. That's what the schools are doing with peer teaching. They're letting the peers do this work to where you say, well, some kid told them that, not me. I mean, guys, this is the design. You can't opt out of this. So we're going to talk about a lot of that and bring that kind of information, but we would like to have some other voices involved in it as well. So please contact Diane or me, and we're going to look and talk strategy because, folks, it's got to be more than just webinars. We have got to get this out. So I'm excited about it. Are there any other questions?
Hold on, one more. Let's see here. I knew this was bad ever since they started it in Brecksville, Broadview Heights. I may go to the board meeting with your 3-minute speech. Thank you.
Who was that?
That was Jan. She's
Jan, way to
she,
go.
she is amazing, as all of these activists are amazing. Thank God for them.
Hmm.
And thank you, Marcia, for the 3-minute speech. We sure do need a 3-minute speech. I can't wait to listen to that.
Yeah, read through those and tweak it to make it what you want it to be. Those are just guidelines, and two, another thing, I'll give you another, heads up. When we talk about strategy, think about how we're going to format an open record request. If POG is already in your school, you can submit that, you want a copy of the notes from their community meeting. You want a list of who all was in the community meeting, who spoke into it, who was on the committee itself. Um, and two, what documents came from AASA about it, Battelle for Kids, wherever they got it from. Find out all of those things and show your community this is not local. It's not.
Okay, Marcia, that's it for today. Thank you so much. That was a lot of information, and we have a month to process all of this before we talk strategy and
Yep.
have this next one coming up. So thank
Yeah,
you for
please
that.
reach out. And Diane, thank you so much for all of your work. She is the one, guys, that gets y'all the links, and she does so much advertising. You know what? We had 67,000 views last month on Rumble. Guys, join in with us. Let's do this all together, and we will see you next month.
So someone here says, do you have the link to this recording? Everyone will receive this in a follow-up email and go to parentsonthelevel.com where all of these videos are posted and Protect Ohio Children is posting on our YouTube channel and now on Rumble. We had 67,000 views on Rumble. So this is a new endeavor and we're learning as we go. But get the word out, folks, and we appreciate all you're doing to fight back against this monster.
Yeah, one more thing. I'm going to have the slide deck, all the slides you can use. I'm going to have the transcript from the NASB conference. I'm going to have several things that you can download to make your presentation pertinent to your area. You are welcome to use this information. Our goal is to see kids getting safe, not to hoard information. We want this out. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Marcia.